So I had a thought. The end of the year is finally upon us, and so much has happened in One Piece Bounty Rush in terms of the units that we have gotten that I think that it calls for us to have a specific kind of conversation, right? Now, Bounty Fest. Boy, oh boy, did we get blessed this year. We've gotten so many different kinds of Bounty Fest this year. The way that they've performed has us having debates as to whether or not some of these units are better than even the EXs, both of the past and the ones that have dropped this year. To the point to where these Bounty Fests that are coming out are straight up just countering the EXs that we get. It's daunting, but fascinating at the same time. And so I figure, hey, let's have this conversation right now, right? Again, the end of the year is finally upon us, so let's take a second to reflect and kind of go over, amongst all these Bounty Fests that have dropped this year, which ones not only reign supreme, but have substantial reason as to why they are doing so. So with that being said, this video is going to be me listing my top 5 Bounty Fests that had dropped in 2024. Without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 is going to be none other than the heir to the Shogun of Wano, Kozuki Oden. When this Oden had first dropped, personally speaking, I was like, this is crazy because we already have a version of Oden that we know of, that being the Green Runner, and he's an EX, so for this guy to be a Bounty Fest, I was kind of thrown off. But clearly at the time, I did not do my research when it came to this guy because boy, oh boy, was he a problem when he had first joined. And you could even say up until today, with the fact that people have kind of circumnavigated around some of his flaws, he can still be a problem, whether it's you playing AVA or going against him in an actual league match. Let me go ahead and further elaborate, right? Let's keep it a bean. This guy is a zombie. If he gets in that treasure area, unless you're using someone that can hit him with a status infliction or someone that can knock him super far back, you're going to have a hard time with this guy. For him being a light unit and an attacker means that all the damage that he does, knowing that a majority of the units that are in the game are going to either be red, blue, or green, he's going to do extra damage on top of that. And God forbid he finds you in the treasure area, because even if you're someone that packs a punch, odds are he's going to outlive you. He has the trait to where he's going to stay alive in the treasure area even if he has 1 HP. So again, that just goes back to the whole zombie narrative. He does a lot of damage just off of his normals alone, and he's a multi-hitter, but God forbid you get hit with those skills, especially the skill 2, which will KO anybody even if they have the same trait that he has, meaning he's his own counter. And I think this was kind of the introduction of us starting to see this, to where we're starting to get units that have crazy abilities, crazy innate character traits, but they tend to counter themselves as well too. Oden had dropped sometime in the top of 2024, and as the year progressed on, we started to get introduced to more of these units that have similar capabilities of not only having broken traits, but being able to be their own counters as well too. This is definitely something that you have to give a round of applause for the OPBR developers, because for the longest time we've had complaints about this game being unbalanced, and Oden himself was one of the first signs of them trying to make a conscious effort to do so, and that's why I'm gonna throw him at number 5 on this list. But what's next to come might shock you. Due to the nature of my number 4 pick for this list, I was kind of conflicted because I was trying to decide whether I should include both of them or just one. But with this video, I'm going to go ahead and just talk about one specific guy. If you guys want to, you can go back and review my video on me discussing the both of them. But if you haven't figured it out by now, then number 4 on my list is none other than the Blue Dorry. Now, to put it in simple terms, yo, this guy is a menace. Let's keep it a bean, especially if you know how to use him. Now, again, the developers of One Piece Bounty Rush, time and time again this year, far exceeded my expectations as to what I expected in the game overall. You could go ahead and ask anyone in my community, definitely anyone that tunes into my live streams. I was screaming up and down, left and right, that there is no way that they'd ever incorporate giants into this game, and lo and behold, they did. And I know we've had giants in boss battles before, but I never thought that we'd actually have playable giant characters. But boom, there came Dorry and Brogy. Now, just having them alone was a phenomenal experience, and Clearly, in terms of gameplay, you have a far wider reach. The mechanics are somewhat different. For example, having a perfect guard instead of a perfect dodge and of the sort. But over time, I think a good majority of the community can come to agree that one of the two stood out far better than the others, and that's what we're talking about right now. You see, Dorry is very interesting in the fact that, similar to his counterpart Brogy, when they land a perfect guard, they send off a shockwave that staggers the enemy, and it increases the enemy's cooldown time of their skills and their dodge. Also, at the same time, it decreases Dorry's skill 1, and that skill 1, when it lands, whew, and God forbid if you get hit with it, because let me tell you, we've had some pretty long-ranged skills before, but for a skill to be able to reach across a map entirely, that's scary. And the thing is, with both of his skills, if you get hit with either one of them, then you get inflicted with what we know as an HP cut, right? To where your max HP gets reduced. We've seen this trait in the likes of Film Red Shanks. We've also seen it from Nico Robin from Onigashima. The thing is though, with Dorry, if you get hit with that HP cut, the damage that he does to you gets boosted by a lot. And then again, God forbid you get hit with the skills. Goodness gracious, this guy is just a monster on the field. And the biggest downside, no pun intended, is the fact that he's just a gigantic target. But what the developers had decided to do was to extend the window of that guard, so that way, yeah, he's a bigger guy, so that guard, it'll last for a little bit longer compared to if you were to just try to dodge. And that gives a lot more grounds for a perfect guard to get landed. When that perfect guard gets landed, the opponent's skills and their dodge time gets increased while your skills decrease. And say it with me now, y'all, God forbid you get hit with this skill. I'm telling you, Dorry, despite the fact that he's a giant and he moves a little slower across the field, is one of the ones that you really just don't want to be in a back and forth with unless you're using a specific someone that at this point I'm sure you guys know is going to be on this list, and boy do we have a lot to say, but we'll save that for when we get there. For now, let's close the Dorry segment and move on to number 3. This next unit that we're talking about has either been a pain in the ass to a lot of us or a definite game saver. And I'm pretty sure you guys already have a good idea as to who I'm talking about. So this unit that I'm talking about right here is none other than CP9 Blueno. The run game this year has been definitely interesting. Over the years, we've started to see a lot of units that can ignore enemies in the opponent's treasure area. It can still cap the flags, but this guy just took things to a whole different level. The damage reduction that he gets when he's capping the flag is insane, and it makes every single person on the opponent's team use their skills just to try to inflict some damage to him. And more often than not, it's to no avail, which is, again, unfortunate to the opponents. But hey, if there's only 3 seconds left in a game and you're using Blueno and you're on that enemy treasure, odds are you'll probably grab it. He has some pretty decent capture speed, which you add on some capture speed medals and this guy is just a force to be reckoned with. The biggest downside to this guy is just the fact that he is such a glass cannon. Again, when you're capturing, yo, Madara could come into this game and hit you with catastrophic planetary devastation, and it wouldn't do a damn thing to him. He might get a little scratch on his ankle or something like that, but that's just about it. However, as soon as that flag is captured, it is curtains for this guy. If you aren't able to perfect dodge or just make sure that ain't no one near you as soon as you capture that flag, just consider your next strategy with your next unit, because he is dog food. He is going to get ate up and he's just going to get destroyed. Now, what's interesting about him too is the fact that with his skill 1, he can go such a far distance, and he kind of helps out too because he's able to increase the cooldown time of an opponent's skill and I believe their dodge when he hits them with it, which can be pretty game changing in its own right. But that skill 2, which has damage reduction in it of itself as well, will send him either to the nearest flag or the furthest flag, which again, yo, I'm telling you, all across the board, as a runner, this guy does his job because he is a game changer, whether it's for the better or for the worse, depending on whether or not he's on your team. There's really not too much I gotta say about him, but again, he definitely set a bar as to how runners should perform, even more so if the player using him is a good runner. So with that, I definitely gotta put him at number 3. My number 2 pick is someone that I really wanted to talk about for a long time, even to the point where I was debating on making a separate video about this unit for 2 big reasons. Primarily because when they first came into the game, I was such a hater, like the biggest hater. I hate the way they walk, talk. I hated the way that they dressed. But over time, this unit has literally become my main for the last like 2, 3, maybe 4 seasons. I can't remember how many seasons it's been since they dropped. But point being, whether or not you want to call it recency bias, I do not care, because not only is this a unit that is worthy of being on this list, but they got the stats to back it up. The unit I'm talking about is none other than Happy Halloween Uta. If you've made it this far in the video, I'm gonna need you to get into the comment section and drop a pumpkin power, you feel me? Also leave a like for your boy, you know, it helps with the algorithm and all that, but let's stay on track here, because, yo, again, I was a really big hater when this unit came out. First and foremost, we had already gotten 2 other versions of her. I don't think we needed a 3rd, but I can tell y'all here and now, today, that boy am I glad that she here, because 1, they've deepened the bag that is dark units in this game. We obviously needed a couple more, considering that light and dark units are fairly new, but for her to be a runner and defender with the 150 on the defender side, pretty quick capture speed on the runner side, and again, the pumpkin power. Yo, off rip, the fact that that pumpkin does so much damage to somebody if it lands on somebody is ungodly. Like, that is literally crazy. But the percentage damage that she deals, all the heals that she gets on top of that as well too. And she got a little skateboard, a little musical skateboard. Listen, I love this unit so much that I've ranked with her at least twice since she's dropped in the game. And that might sound like me simping or me going crazy, but listen, a lot of y'all is out there using her too. And I know this because I be trying to get top 10 with her, top 15, but I always end up in between like 100 to like 150 because y'all are using her too. Y'all like her too. Let's keep it a bean. Y'all cannot deny the power of the pumpkin, okay? And again, just as a unit to have on your team, she's someone that can pull off a clutch move at any point in the game. You know what I'm saying? She ignores enemies and she's able to capture while she's a runner. And as a defender, she's able to fill up the treasure gauge all the way to 150. I spent a lot of time talking about the pumpkin. I forgot to even mention, this is a shield character. Again, she just checks so many boxes, and the damage that she does, depending on how you have her built, will be enough for you to maintain whatever role you're coming into the match in. So for all intents and purposes, I think that she's someone that is really going to outlast the current meta that we're in, and we're going to see a lot more of her moving into future metas and later on into 2025. So it's safe for me to put her at number 2 on this list, primarily speaking because 1, yo, pumpkin power. I'm gonna say it again, yo, pumpkin power in the chat, y'all do it. And 2, because there's really no point in trying to build up any anticipation because we already know who number 1 is, and that's who Uta's biggest problem tends to be. So let's close this segment and finally get into the top bounty fest of 2024. I'm sure by now that this number 1 pick goes by so many different names in the community. The Team Wiper, the 5-0 Enforcer, the Backshot Bandit, the Glitch God, the S-Snake Slayer, Mr. Get More Combos himself, dog. Yo, a lot of eyes gotta be rolling right now, but let's keep it all the way a bean. Y'all didn't think that anyone else is gonna take this number 1 spot, did you? Yo, he's been terrorizing the meta for what feels like 20 centuries at this point, a damn near millennia. The number 1 bounty fest of 2024, and arguably of all damn time, has to go to none other than CP9's very own Jabra. Man, oh man, I know a lot of you guys watching right now, myself included, got a lot of PTSD when it comes to this guy. Just when you think that you're about to take the win in a league match, boom, a Jabra spawns in, and from across the map, he hits you with that skill 2 that wipes your entire team. And it's curtains. This guy is such a heavy hitter, and again, another product of the innovation that the developers of OPBR have been bringing into this game all year this year, because this is the first unit that we've gotten whose skills and the potency of said skills are relied on the defense of the character and not the attack. Now, that could call for having pretty weak or lackluster normals, but the thing with Jabra is that skill 2 and skill 1 have so many opportunities to cool down, especially when you have the right metal set on them, that it just brings an entirely different dynamic to the game when he's in the match. You have to watch out for skills that could come from every which way, and this guy has definitely spent some time on planet Yardrat or something, because the way that he uses instant transmission to hit you with his skill 1 is diabolical. Y'all heard me earlier, there's a little glitch going on right now, and so bro is the glitch god and the back shot bandit, because bro out of nowhere hits you with that skill 1, he's behind you. You saw him just in front of you a second ago. It's like him and Goku were cousins or something, or they were sparring partners on Yardrat. Granted, Goku was probably whooping his ass, but the point still stands that Jabra is a menace and has been a menace to the community since he's dropped. But when you have him on your team, when you have him on your roster and you're using him, expect at least 5 kills a game. 10 kills average. Oh, did I forget to mention he has a shield too? Because you guys are probably thinking, oh yeah, well we could just hit him with something crazy. Nah, he has a shield. And yeah, you can shatter the shield, but if he hits you with that skill 2, which can cool down pretty quick, again, even more so depending on the metal set you got on him, guess what that skill 2 does? Brings that shield right back, and then you got to deal with it all over again. And say you get through the shield and Jabra has no skills. Oh, well he's easy food, right? Do you guys not remember what I had said earlier? His skills and the impact that they have rely heavy on defense. So what do you think everyone is doing out here? They are stacking defense on this guy, and say, okay, well this guy's a novice and he didn't even stack no defense on him. It doesn't matter, because Jabra has an innate trait that stacks defense itself. So not only is he a heavy hitter, but he is so hard to take down. And a shield on top of that. There really shouldn't be a debate as to who we were going to have at number 1, but the proof is in the pudding. Jabra has been that guy since he came out, and to this day, he is still that guy. With time, obviously with any other unit, it would apply as well. We've learned some ways to kind of deal with him, but more often than not, if there's a problem going on in the game and someone is just wiping your team left and right, it's not far-fetched to think that it's a Jabra. You feel me? So this is my top 5 of all the bounty fests that had dropped in 2024. But of course, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, and I'd love to see what you guys think of this list in particular. Do you guys think I'm right on the mark, or do you guys have better suggestions that I dropped this year? You can go ahead and let me know in the comment section, and please be sure to like the video. With that being said, that is going to be it for me today. So until next time, y'all, please take care.